What is going on, everybody? The RedSon lives, and I don't know why, but as of recording this, it is March 1st, and I would like to say that I am going to start something that I wanted to do for a little bit, and I'm going to do it because nobody can tell me not to. Now, some people say there are things that go together. Best I can describe. Chocolate and peanut butter. Peanut butter and jelly, spaghetti, and literally everything. But I'm going into something that I personally feel like. Something along the lines of, something that resonates with a soul so close to mine. And I'd like to say the first one on March 1st, March 1st, even though it's nowhere near what it should be, is horror. I don't know where I threw that, but it landed somewhere. And now, as for this is the horror section. A new look. You guys get to see what my eyes look like. And they're creepy as hell because I have really shitty quality. But you get to hear my voice a little bit better, so there's that. So for today, I feel like horror is a good section, but what's another H word that really draws people in? Draws people to a sense of, It divides some, disgusts others, but brings passion to the most. Now, there's no better way of saying it, so I'm gonna say it like the true artist and artisan that I am. Horror and hentai. Now, there are a few things that I could talk about. Number one would probably be the giant hoodie that I have on because it's a size too big for me, and that makes all the difference. I have become more than the sauce. I am the sauce. The HeNtAi hoodie. Every true gamer's real expression of self. And the Jason mask. Only a self-respecting horror head would have that. Everyone can feel. I realize there is no emotion being conveyed in my eyes. It's just me opening them every time I see myself. And it's a lot creepier than I thought it's going to be. But my voice gets through a lot easier, so I'm going to keep doing this. Because I want to. Horror and hentai, horror and hentai, horror and hentai, horror and hentai, horror and hentai. I lost track of what I was going to do today. Hey, I have declared March 1st in the spirit of probably one of the shittiest and least scary horror movies and horror franchises, but still amazing because you need to watch them because you won't believe me if I tell you. Leprechaun takes place on March during St. Patrick's Day, but I don't keep up with what St. Patrick's Day is. And hentai is a gift from God that's here year-round. If God had made horror and hentai, then what's the point? Checkmate, atheists. Now, on with whatever I thought I was going to start talking about. Let's start off with the most classy of the few. What brings that sense of insanity, but also the sense of yes? It has that yes to it. It's almost as if it can't say anything bad ever. With that vague-ass description, I would like to tell you the first thing on my schedule. The Evil Dead. Probably one of my favorite horror franchises of all time. Alright, even though there's no possible way that I could get a mask for it, even though you can get a mask for literally everything. And horror and hentai. Actually, I should have started this out with something else. I'll be right back. I'm not going to edit this because it's going to stay in a weird, quiet area this entire time. I'm doing stuff over here. You guys just aren't aware of it. Alright, I have started this again. But the first thing we're going to be talking about, The Evil Dead. Yes, I am a nerd, but a nerd with a claw. Now, The Evil Dead is seriously one of my favorite horror franchises of all time because it has this insanely over-the-top goriness to it, but it also has the slapstick humor that realizes it's a B movie and it needs to be a B movie. Plus, Bruce Campbell. Not only is he a slapstick master where he can just and then just move himself around like he's taking actual hits, but he continues on like it's nothing. It's so cool. Oh, he has those iconic lines. He has the amazing over-the-top performance. He's a person that almost demands respect and laughter the second he shows up on screen. And I know you don't really believe me on that, but imagine just once, if any of you out there have seen The Evil Dead, you have seen Army of Darkness, and you know that part where he holds up the shotgun and just starts giving off that speech. Each about, this is a 12 gauge double barrel Remington. And you can find it in the sporting goods. It has dark oak. It has a chestnut oak handle finish with a blue cobalt steel construction. This little boy runs you about $225. But you can get it anywhere. Shop smart. Shop as smart. You got that? And he has that. He has the presence of a person who's going to do cool shit. It is dated as shit. It is clearly a product of its time. The character himself plays it that way. He plays it in the way that this is going to be campy, this is going to be stupid, but I'm gonna do it right. And he has this whole thing. He has that chiseled jaw that I don't have. He's fucking built through most of it. He actually, when he has the arm torn off and you can see, how fucking big he is. At least in in Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, he looks fucking fantastic. He's so, well built. He looks like he's got his ass kicked, and he works with it. He moves past it. He gets the metal hand, and then he just goes over. He didn't need to do any of this shit, but he has this metal cup near him, and he gets fixed with his little hand, and he goes over. Groovy. And then he moves on like it's nothing. It's so cool. Oh, and throughout the entire series, he has this presence of, I'm a badass, I'm going to say stupid one-liners, they're going to come out cool, my voice is awesome, I look amazing, and I'm just going to have fun. There's so much not to like about it. It's so fucking badass. There's so much to it. Now, if I tried to make an entire video about why I liked Evil Dead, it would take up the entire thing, and it would still be 40 minutes long. But I'm not gonna do that, because I realized I'm really bad at time management. And the reason I like him so much is that he's what a horror protagonist should be. Not a horror villain, a horror protagonist. Horror protagonists are different than the bad guys of the film. The bad guys of the film are meant to be intimidating, awe-inspiring as they go towards you with that feeling of invincibility. They can move closer and they never feel like you never feel like you're safe, regardless of how long they're near you. You know, it's this movement that they have. Now, but the protagonist, if there is a recurring protagonist, is usually the fact that the first movie they become scared and they're trying to figure out what's going on. Because anybody who's lived through a traumatic event in the first horror movie and survives to the next one is usually a little bit more contained with it. Like, imagine if somebody has imagine if, like, I don't know, because I haven't seen the movies in forever, but if, like, the one person who survived the Jaws attack in the first movie lived on to the second one and was attacked again. First, you would think, what a coincidence. Second thing you would think is like, shit, another shark. Alright, they're tough as shit, they're really strong, they're fast, and they're dangerous. I should probably figure out how I can blow it up, or lure it to a place where it can die. Evil Dead plays it to where he knows exactly. They play it to where he takes an extra movie to learn what he's doing. Because the first movie, he's scared out of his mind, he has no idea what he's doing. He doesn't really contribute a lot to it. The second movie, he's much more open to like what he's doing. He has the chainsaw in hand, he kicks ass. As he gets the double barrel, he gets those lines down that are just one-liner perfection. And he moves past it like it's nothing. And then in the third movie, he's jaded, he's pissed, he doesn't want to deal with these guys anymore. He's good at killing them, he just doesn't like killing them because they don't go away. And he keeps moving past. Ash Williams for Mortal Kombat 11, please. I tip my hat to anybody that will help with that. Especially you, Bruce Campbell. I don't know where you live, but I'm gonna be really sad if you don't. Do you want that on your conscience? Do you? This is what you want to do? You want to make a 19-year-old man cry? A 19-year-old man in a Diego hoodie? Is that what you want to do? I'm already a loser. And you're gonna make me cry. Now, there's always something that I did figure out that I don't know if it's like 100% canon, but I feel like it should be mentioned. In the Necronomicon is an easy staple of the Evil Dead franchise. But Friday the 13th, in the movie Jason Goes to Hell, there's a part in it where he's like trying to figure out, he can read certain things, and the entire time he's doing it, he's reading from the book The Necronomicon, that even has the same like ripped off face that is sewn in to look like the book cover. It's even the same thing. Alright? And they need to use a special dagger to be able to kill him permanently. The Kandarian dagger from the Evil Dead movies. It's a big thing. Really big thing. Not to mention, the way that Deadites are shown as if they're spirits is when they move, it's always a first-person point of view, and they move really quickly towards wherever they're going. And then when they take physical form, they usually possess something and then show up like that. In the Friday the 13th video game, the one that is pretty popular nowadays, I don't know if it's like waned in any way, one way or the other, is that it shows, it has like the first person point of view as it like has the darkened screen around the main camera and it's moving forward. And it shows how Jason has that super speed or he's like teleporting around, going wherever he wants. That's the exact same way Deadites work. And you can't really kill a Deadite unless you kill it with a specific dagger. Which kind of makes sense if you've ever tried to kill Jason. Maybe he was possessed by a specific spirit and he never actually died. Like, imagine if, in all possibility, Jason Voorhees is a Deadite that's just a lot tougher than the rest. It makes so much sense. Yes. Alright. That was the best segue I could think of to talking about Friday the 13th. I really like Friday the 13th, not nearly as much as Evil Dead, but I really like everything that it stands for. It has certain characters that carry over to different ones, and they do serve a good purpose. Then there are some shitty ones in it. Personally, I think the first Friday the 13th is a lot more overrated than it is, because it's a slasher movie, and who's the slasher? The old lady. The movie was made in 1978, I think, so I'm gonna say whatever the fuck spoilers. I'm gonna. Because if you haven't seen it, you're out of your mind. You should feel bad. And it's just... And... Who are you expecting? I'm expecting, like, the badass serial killer. But even though Jason wasn't made then, it's pretty much because they didn't want Jason to be the killer. Because he was supposed to be the victim, and his mom was supposed to be the one that would fight back. But it seems so dissatisfying. Oh, she gets her head cut off. That makes sense. And then the second movie, they reintroduced Jason because he had popped up out of the water and just... and pulled the girl into the water. I don't know if she died or not. Maybe she just, like, got shocked and then it left like that. But the next movie made such a... It's such this drastic change in tone. I love that costume for Jason. That kind of wild man that has the one eye. The one eye and the bag. And he just has, like, this dead stare through it that's just... It has, like, that almost, like, you don't know what he is. Because normally when you see a mask like this, it's like, oh, nose, eyes, mouth of some way. Human. But bag covering most of your face except for a single eye, that has something that's not human to it. And it's weird because of how they, like, he, like, runs towards you. And he always has a weapon that's just not even a weapon. It's just a straight up object he found. The third one, it was better to me than it was to anybody else. My nose still gets itchy when I do this. The third one was better to me because obviously there are things that are stupid about it, like when they tried to use the gimmick of 3D effects and it didn't really pan out the right way because they used too much of it, and they used the shitty type where it's like, instead of, oh, look at the magnificence of everything that's going around, it's like, oh, look at this, it's getting closer. Like, that's annoying. That's not going to age well, and it's super annoying. Just tone it down. We'll get to work with it a little bit later. Just shush. We'll be back to it. The fourth one, I believe, is... It's like the final Friday... Can I tell you? I don't remember what happens in it. I think the fourth one is where... The third one is where... I think the third one's where Jason dies. The fourth one is where they get a new Jason who ends up just being that guy who's like, I'm gonna kill these people because that guy was my kid, and I'm gonna... Look at me, I'm Jason, even though I have, like, the blue stripes right here that Jason never had, instead of, like, the red V right here. It's like, there's obvious signs, dude. Why are you playing it like that? And then he continues on like that, and then he dies, and then I think the fifth one is where Jason, like, comes back to life, and he's fucking terrifying. He has, like, that zombie super strength, where he becomes Jason. He's real Jason. He's the... I swear, it feels like this thing's gonna fall apart. He becomes real Jason. He's a monster. He's not a human anymore. There's no rationalizing with him. He is insanely hard to stop. You can't stop him unless you shove his head in a meat grinder. I think the sixth one. I'm missing something. I don't know what happens in the fourth one. I think the fifth one is. The fifth one is a new Jason. Is a new Friday, whatever the fuck it's called. The sixth one is where zombie Jason comes into play. Seventh one is Jason versus a psychic chick. Eighth one is Jason goes to Manhattan, which the one where it's him versus a psychic chick, that one is awesome. I seriously do love that one because it displays more of what Jason is. He's unstoppable, even to things that can warp reality. The only reason he dies is because they drowned him again. And which is kind of his weakness, kind of not. It's more like a fear than it is anything else. And then they have the one where he goes to Manhattan, which is not good, not great, but there is some iconic moments in it. Yeah. Then, like, the one where he's like, this kid's like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And he's punching him in the face, and Jason's just sitting there taking it like the stone brick house that he is. And then, like, what do you got, bitch? And then, poof, knocks his head straight off. The ninth one is Jason Goes to Hell, which the only reason it's so low on my list is because Jason goes to hell, and it's not even Jason through most of it. There's a few scenes where Jason shows up. The rest of it is not that. And then there's Jason. And then there's Jason X, which is a lot more entertaining than people give it credit for. But mostly because he's in space, and he has like that cyborg Terminator just dun 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 dun, and just unstoppable. But that's only for like the last part of it, which sucks because it's so fucking cool. Then there was Freddy vs. Jason, which was amazing. Don't believe what people say about it because it's so goddamn awesome. Then there's Friday the 13th, the remake that I think what's his name? The guy who made Transformers. The only reason I know it is because Jared Padalecki is in it, and he's Sam from Supernatural, and the girl who played... what? Thought I heard something. The girl who plays Killer Frost in The Flash is also in it. And it's the only Jason movie where... Michael Bay, that was who it was. Which, having his name attached to something immediately, like, lowers it a little bit. But Michael Bay... The reason I like Jason in that one is because he's fucking scary. He has that dead look that's just... He doesn't move a lot, and when he does move, he doesn't just, like, walk towards you and then appear behind trees that didn't exist. He fucking sprints. He's huge, and he sprints toward you. It's fucking scary. If anybody above 6 feet tall runs towards you, that's terrifying. It doesn't matter how big they are. They're just above 6 feet, and they just start moving towards you super quickly. That's fucking scary. It doesn't matter who you are. It's just so much. I really do like that movie. It is one of the... I personally think it's one of the better ones. Like, it's top 5 for me. Plus, like, the wrap that he has around his head, I think is far scarier than the mask that he has, that he gets along with it. The mask makes sense because, Jason. But the wrap around it, it seems like that, it has that same, like, the bag feel where it's just the one eye, but instead it's the wrap that only covers up everything except for the single eye. but it does it in like a more gritty way. Like he doesn't just like take a burlap sack. I'm good. Like he doesn't like the way he looks, so he wraps himself up. He takes time out of his day to do that. So you know he's much more intelligent and he's much more physically adept because he's fast and he's fucking strong. But he's not zombie Jason Strong where he can like take shotgun blast to the head and push somebody over onto the ground, grab his legs, and then fold him in like a futon. Like that's some good shit right there. That's that good shit. Yeah, give me that. Speaking of Freddy vs. Jason, that can give me my best segue towards The Nightmare on Elm Street. Le Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't know why it's a French accent, but yes. And before I get into that, just want to give shout out to one of the best bodywork guys in all of movie history, Kane Hodder. Not only a good actor, but you're also isn't Kane Hodder the stuntman for it? Like they didn't need like an actor, they just need a guy who can look intimidating and move quickly. Like that's that good shit. Now on to another iconic person who plays it. Robert Englund. Oh my god, he's so fucking cool. His voice is that quiet, raspy voice that makes it kind of, he's a lot more human. But he's also watching. Like he has that tone to him. He has that kind of, I'm totally having fun with whatever I'm doing, but he's a lot more like, I'm gonna get my job done as long as I'm getting something done. And he fucking tears out people's hearts. He does all that different groundwork that does so well. Well, like even in ones where he's clearly being given the shittier scripts. Let's go ahead and talk about the first one. The first one is such an icon because it's so, there's reason to it. It was the first of its kind. It's well made. It's well shot. Wes Craven knows what he's doing. Thank you for you being alive. Johnny Depp was in it as a kid, so there's that. The first movie, it has this iconic feel to it. It's not like a franchise that became iconic. It started iconic with him. The second one, it kind of waned back and forth because it was so detached from the original. Because, Freddy's Revenge, where it's like, oh, he's taken over the mind of certain people, and he keeps reappearing like, oh, I'm awake, what happened on there? Is that the news? What happened on the news? Why am I wearing this? And it has this feel to it that clearly doesn't want to be the original, but everybody knows the original knows what it was doing. And then the third one, Dream Warriors, my personal favorite, it came out like the envisionment of Wes Craven. Really well made. The character knows who he is and he knows what he's doing. He has some iconic lines. He has some iconic kills. Some of the best in the series, might I add. That Puppet Master one where he's just like the kid who can't, or the kid who sleepwalks and he gets him out there and he's pulling him by his tendons so he has to like move regardless of what he says, and then he gets him all the way up there. There, have a nice fall, and then cuts the thing, dead. But it was suicide. I don't know why it took me so long to like suicide. Suicide up in this bitch. No, I'm kidding. The fourth one was meh. I think that one was Dream Masters. The Dream Master. It's a lot more forget. The fourth movie in the series is always forgettable to me because there was nah quality to it. It's definitely watchable, but it's not memorable. Oh, like you wouldn't be like, huh, I regret watching that. You wouldn't be like that. You'd be like, oh, cool. All right, then you move on with your day because you don't remember it that well. Uh, then there was the fifth. The fifth one was Dream Child, where where one of the girls was pregnant, and like Freddy kept feeding in what he could do to that kid so he could eventually like be born again or whatever at her. And it was pretty decent. I'll give it that. It's not bad, but it's nowhere near the worst ones. And then there was Freddy. Where was it? There was Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare, which was, you know, which was the iconic one with the death by Nintendo Power Glove of "I'm playing with power, bitch," like that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, and it was a lot cheesier than the rest, and it ignored a few things, but it was still watchable. It's still fun, and it also kind of gave backstory to how he got his powers. It was definitely worth it. I think I remember what happened in the fourth one. Do I? Let's just skip over what I was gonna say because I can't remember it. The Strangely enough, they did not take the horror movie road out and do another one where it's like murders in space. They didn't do one of those. And I gotta give them credit. Good for you guys. You didn't go down that road. Very admirable. Although, yeah, it wouldn't work in space. Jason makes sense. Freddy doesn't. It doesn't mix. Then after that, there was Wes Craven's A New Nightmare, which is surprisingly good. Like I did not where it has this level of meta where it goes to the next universe above. Like the one in between where the movie starts and our world, there's like the one where it's like, yeah, it's a movie, but it's not completely. Like they redesigned Freddy, they gave him like a bone sort of like look across his glove. They made his character look a little bit different. The hat was a little bit more set up to the way it was. And he had this green trench coat because that's what Wes Craven originally designed it. Because he originally put the design for him on a certain of like what he wanted the character to look like, but it was shaved down a little bit to make him a little bit more reasonable looking. I gotta admit, was not a bad movie. I would put that up there with the top three. Now the final one that I'm gonna talk about for for Nightmare on Elm Street is Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake by our boy Michael Bay. God damn it. This one was by no means one of the worst ones, but it's still like a good. It still has like that faithful recreation, and Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy Krueger is really good. Like he almost nails it. When he was still like alive and he didn't have the pizza face, he had that believableness that he might be innocent, but when he changed, you could totally tell he was the villain. Like he had that. I think one of my favorite lines from it is like it's gonna answer what I was originally gonna say. Did you know that once the heart stops beating, the human brain can function for well over 7 minutes? That means we've got 6.5 minutes left to play. Hey, and people made fun of that because why would Freddy know that? Like, what are you, a neurobiology? It comes with the territory of being like a dream murderer. So I wouldn't give him that. Still a damn good movie. Like, I really enjoyed it. And for that, let's bring up Freddy vs. Jason one more time. Did a damn good job in that. Played to his strengths as like kind of goofy but still incredibly threatening, but never sacrificed any of the creativity behind what he was doing. And it made sense for all the things that he did. Now on to probably my least favorite trilogy, or God, Arcadian, whatever the fuck the term would be, the catacombs of all of this. It's Halloween. Don't get me wrong, the first one, John Carpenter's Halloween, the first one, phenomenal movie. I love it to death. It is a great movie. It's shot well. It makes you feel for this murder. He has like this, like when he kills the person by like getting them up against the door or the wall or whatever, and he just like looks at him with those like dead sunken in dark eyes, and he just has that head tilt that shows off like, oh, he doesn't 100% know what he's doing. And you sit there and you start paying a little bit more attention to it. Great movie, would not recommend enough. If you're a horror movie or a slasher movie person, watch that. It is fantastic. Halloween 2, not nearly as good. Decent, with a higher budget, but very similar in a lot of ways. Halloween 3, The Curse of Michael Myers, went off the rails. It did not follow anything whatsoever. It's all about people who want to take over, which I think John Carpenter still had like creative control over a lot of it. And he wanted it to be like a horror anthology that takes place on Halloween, and it made sense a little bit. And it was a good movie. It had like this eeriness to it that kind of like kept you invested the whole time, but it's away from what it was. I don't even want to talk about the next few because there's a reason straight to DVD doesn't work well. Not a great time. F in the chat, my boys. The Rob Zombie one, the first one, I personally like. Is a really good interpretation of it. It gives more backstory to him, but it doesn't make anybody in the movie likable to any degree. It makes it to where you don't want Jason, you don't want Frit. Goddamn it. Compose yourself. You don't want Michael Myers to win. But you also don't want anybody else to win. It has this human nature to him. Like, you see him as he was a kid, and you see him as he was an adult. And it has this sense to it that you just don't feel like a lot is moving past. You don't feel like anything is wrong with anybody. You feel like this is a very good recreation, but it's nowhere near like the magnitudes of what the original was. It's a damn fine addition, but nowhere near what it is. The second one, also made by Rob Zombie, not so great. not so great. I love you, Rob Zombie. I like your music. I like what you do. Just try to spice it up a little bit. You don't have to change everything to like that degree, but you're trying, man. I still love you. But you were good to move on to something else. Wasn't exactly a great start. Now, H2O, I know that came before the Rob Zombie one, but I still want to talk about it. Wasn't that bad? Had a little bit of a campiness to it, and it had a good solid end. But people wanted to continue on with it. Not great. That's all I'm going to say for H2O. I want to confess, I haven't seen the newest one that came out. The one where Jamie Lee Curtis comes back and she's prepared like this whole time, like, I gotta make sure he never comes back. I gotta make sure. He's an old man. He's still threatening and big, but everybody's aged too much. We're like, this could definitely use a reboot. It could use a comic series, a reboot in like maybe a TV show. Not great starting material though. No, it's a lot like the newer Terminator movies. Like, people are getting old, and we know like a lot of the things in it are iconic, and we don't want to get rid of them, but we might have to. This isn't like, I want something new because I want it to keep going. I don't care about the old guy. This is, I respect the older people, but it's kind of hard to carry something as you get as old as you are. There's a reason they recast a lot of the people in the newer ones. The only person I feel like they can't really recast would be Kane Hodder as Jason, because he has this movement to him. And it's not like you need to see his face or anything. You just need to see what the makeup department is going to turn his face into. But as long as he's still active and moving, I'll take it. Yeah. Another dear fall for a great series. You could have been better, but sorry to see you go. You will be missed. But I think I've run this as far as I can, so I don't know if I'm gonna do this. If this channel makes it to the end of the year and I get to March 1st again, I'm definitely gonna do another horror and hentai. But it might focus a little bit more on the part that I didn't talk about. And by that time, maybe I'll have better equipment. It's like the first year, shitty horror reviews with a hentai hoodie. Maybe by March 1st next year? Or maybe his next video will be hentai related. But I feel like I'm going to need some clips before I start reviewing any of that sort of stuff. So, as of today, I would like to bid you adieu. And, yeah, you get a little peek of what my eyes look like. But the camera is so shitty, and the frame rate is awful, and nothing works, so you can't even see what color my eyes are. So for the rest of the day, see you guys later, and maybe I'll catch you again next year for another horror and hentai. Bye, guys.